It's a drug which could add decades to the lives of Aussies living with cystic fibrosis. One Married at First Sight star says it's changed her life, but it comes with a hefty price tag, and some families are missing out.
It's absolutely changed my life. My lung function was 60% the day I started, and the last lung function test I did was 90.
It's the closest thing to a cure for people living with cystic fibrosis. So why can't some Australian families afford it?
If we were to want to go and buy that ourselves, then we'd have to sell our home, and even that wouldn't get us the lifetime of medications that Chase needs.
What is a day in the life of someone living with cystic fibrosis like?
You wake up, you have tablets with everything that you eat throughout a day. You've got puffers that you take in the morning, and then ones that you take if you're feeling breathless.
Last year, CF medication, Trikafta, was listed on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme for Australians 12 and over. Lyndall says it's helped turn her life around.
Sport is so much easier. I don't wake up with a cough. I don't have to clear my throat before I speak anymore.
With a renewed outlook on life and love, this season Lyndall got married at first sight.
Did you ever imagine, less than a year ago, that you'd be able to have this experience?
I think back like a year when COVID was rampant, and I was so worried the whole time. And I got on a plane and I got to see new places and I got to be around new people, and I threw myself into everything.
1 in 2,500 babies are born with CF every year in Australia. In December, the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee finally announced that they recommend Trikafta for 6 to 11-year-olds, but it still remains unavailable, costing families more than $250,000 a year.
It's a real cruel wait.
It's hard to believe Chase is living with a life-threatening disease.
I like camping. I like going to the skate park.
But Chase's CF often gets in the way.
It's something that's really difficult to see him in pain, and he's just looking at me trying to say, save me, I don't want to go through this, but you know that it's a necessary evil and you have to go through it.
Because Chase is 7 years old, he can't get Trikafta, and his family feels it's unfair.
I can't wait for the day that he can have a medication that can potentially give him an extra 20 or 30 years.
Paediatrician Dr Keith Uwe is Associate Professor of Medicine at UNSW Health.
What are the risks associated with Trikafta?
In general, the risk is very tiny compared to the potential benefits that we see. What's unique is actually it specifically treats and targets the underlying problems or defects in CF.
Would you prescribe Trikafta to your patients?
So I think early access and therefore early use of Trikafta can do at least 3 things. So number 1, early intervention. So we know in a lot of diseases, the earlier the better. Number 2 is the limitations of cumulative and progressive damage to the different organs affected by CF. And number 3, even more excitingly, is this potential to prevent actual complications that will arise in the future.
This is the best thing that the cystic fibrosis community have seen in the history of cystic fibrosis. So the fact that something is that close it's great. Like, it's amazing that it's going to be just at the edge of our fingertips, but we just find it hard to get our hopes up just yet because there's just so much more we have to go through before we're actually allowed to take it on.
Lyndall's not looking back.
Life is beautiful and I have time.